Yes, and welcome back, guys, to podcast Talk of the Town Christmas special. It's Series 2, Episode 3. You're back with me, Davey Guinn, and have we got a podcast for you tonight? We've had a little bit of a think of what we're going to be doing. We've invited a few people down. What people to invite down? Well, anyone better. A couple of ex-managers, a manager, people who have been on the board, and people that I've been involved with in the club for a long, long time as well. So firstly, I'd like to welcome current manager Sean Eardley. Welcome along, Sean.
Thank you very much.
That'll be loads of clapping in the background there.
Thank you.
Ex-manager Grant Montgomery, and also still leading scorer for the football club.
Possibly.
Got to
Gotta
be a yes, Andy. Got to be a yes. Daniel Graham, ex-manager as well. Welcome, Daniel. See you in a bit. Shelley, board member, vice chairman for many, many years, and club stalwart. And we thought we'd throw a little bit of the Irish in there. We've got Victor Wellbridge as well. Welcome aboard, fellas. Guys, let's start it all off. Christmas special, no holds barred. But Sean, let me just ask you, feel of the club at the moment. How's it going? We know what we're doing on the pitch, etc. Tell us a bit about the background.
As you said, mate. It's it's based on results. I think at the end of the day, and I think up to now that the lads have been brilliant. It's been pretty special for me, having come back and seeing some familiar faces, but obviously new ones as well. And going into the Christmas period, we would have liked the full programme. Obviously the chaps down the road are in a little bit of disarray in Bangor, so we're not too sure whether that game's going to be going ahead or not. But yeah, performed well last week. Another good result. Opposition going down to 10 men like after 4 minutes, I think it was. Can always be difficult, but as you said, mate, there's a good feel and a good buzz about the place. 23s working ever so hard, under Grant's tutelage, and the 19s and the academy teams, every weeknight that and down. It's really good to see. Working at the sort of local school as well. It helps because a lot of the academy boys and girls, I might add, attend that school. So, having engaged with them, day in and day out as well, I think that helps. But, yeah, it's a good feel about the place, mate, at the minute, to be honest.
Do you feel with working at the school and you've got a lot of the lads that are in the academy or at the same school, etc., obviously, I presume they show you the utmost respect of calling you Mr. Eardley or Sir, why would you? Is there a bit of banter there? Is it the town? Is it feeling combined?
Yeah, no, definitely. Grant's obviously to my left, but, even the likes of Frankie, not necessarily Levi, is okay, to be fair, but Frankie's called me Erds down the corridor before now, during the school time, and lads will sort of look at him and go, "You can't call him that." And I'm like, "Well, nah, as long as other teachers aren't hearing it, I don't mind." But
as long as it's only Erds.
Exactly, and nothing else. But no, you're dead right. I mean, even today, as early as today, some of the year 9 boys, so our current under 13s, 14s. Discussing with me at a lunchtime, who's starting, who's getting dropped, who's in the squad, etc. And we have that little bit of banter. Don't get me wrong, they point the finger at me sometimes when results don't go our way. But no, it's great. Like I said, I mentioned before the academy teams over the years have been absolutely fantastic. And whether it's the futsal in December, whether it's qualifying for championship conferences and things like that. The good players, we're very, very blessed, in and around this area to have a lot of good teams first and foremost, but I think we're blessed here with a lot of good academy players, being guided by good academy coaches as well. So it's always good to roll into work, especially after a win on a Saturday. But yeah, like you said, mate, the utmost respect to all them boys, absolutely.
No, top man, well done, nice one, good to hear. So Victor, let me bring you in. You've been at the club for, well, since day dot, I think, haven't you? Near enough, definitely grass pitch time and what have you. And obviously, I've moved up in the club now to vice chairman and sort of feel like you've taken me under your wing a little bit on the board. But how's things moving in the background? Off the pitch, when the ball's not being kicked.
Things are moving reasonably well, as everybody knows. We took on rebuild the new changing rooms, which has been very, very hard. It's pulled on the club's resources, the club's personnel, the volunteers. But we're slowly but surely coming to the end of that now. There's light at the end of the tunnel. But as I always have said and always will say, we are still looking for more people to come on board and give us a hand. Responsible people, you know, with reasonable long term, would be absolutely brilliant. So anyone that's listening to this, get in contact.
Oh, we'd welcome them with open arms, wouldn't we?
Always looking for people.
Definitely, without a doubt. So Shelley, come on, mate. You've got to have a story to tell. Come on.
About what?
Story to tell. Well, about the club. I mean, you know, you and I got to know each other quite well when we got into the Welsh Prem and then into Europa, etc. You know, we went to Sweden. Obviously, there's probably a few things you can't discuss around the table about what happens in Sweden, etc. But you know, it was all the buzz of getting the playing out there with the squad, with Alan, etc. and what have you. You know, your feedback?
Yeah, I mean, the occasion itself was something else, and I'm so glad that I took part in that. Felt very blessed to be a part of the back room that was sort of sitting on the coattails of the team doing well. We got a ride out there, but the whole journey, right from the train station here with the lads outside, getting across London. I think some of them have never left town, so getting across London on the underground and through to Gatwick was a journey in itself with a few, but just the way that we were looked after out there, very, very special people, very special club, a bond which I think, you know, is there for quite some time, can be seen on social media between more with the fans now, I guess, but there's a special bond there that and I think they were taken a little bit surprised by us. I can still remember during the game, obviously we had a handful of fans in this big away end, and security was quite sort of strict at either end to stop the home fans sort of coming near. But I popped up there. I was obviously doing some pitch side photography at the point, and I went up to get some pictures from up there, and whilst I was up there was a home fan negotiating with the security to come along to the away fans, and he took a little bit of time before they agreed for him to come through, and he came across to invite all the lads and lasses that were there to go into their supporters bar after the game with the team as well. And I think, I mean, I might recall this slightly wrong, but I'm sure we were the first and only kind of away fans to ever go in their sort of home, you know, and their fans admitted that their culture, they were a little bit more into aggro, and they loved the relationship that we had. And
certainly a couple of ultras up there, weren't there?
But they were such good lads with us, you know. I mean, they were known for it and they've been banned, and obviously they were some wrong characters, but they invited us in, and you know, I think one chap bought us all a big round, and so the whole occasion was something else. They you know, they took us out, they looked after us so well, and I know when they came back here, we were determined to try and put on us a show that we could, and we did that, you know, to the very best of our ability and budget and experience, because you know we hadn't had that experience.
Yeah.
But the whole trip was something else, and you would say, you know, you want to repeat it again. It'll be hard to top that from my perspective, but hopefully one day Sean will get us out there.
No pressure. I think talking about Europa, we'll obviously go back to Europa as well and what have you, but I think something that sticks out in my mind and every time I see it, it's a picture that you took on the night, and it was the lineup of the lads lined up before Gothenburg's anthem, really, wasn't it? And you've darkened the background, and the red kit's quite vibrant and what have you. And, you know, there's a couple of ballers in that lineup. You know, obviously Erds and myself were backroom staff at the time on the coaching board, but it's just it paints. It's not just a picture; it speaks words as well. And for everyone experienced Gothenburg, there's a memory that sticks out, and I'm pretty sure your story to that picture will be different to my story to that picture. It's just it's a very powerful picture, and
I'm glad you mentioned that. I mean, it is one of my favourite pictures that I've obviously taken over the years, thousands. That is definitely one of those pictures right up there. There's one with Sean, which was a big picture that was done in the club shop when we had the Maltese officials.
The Newtown victory.
I mean that's a picture that stands out. But the one you mentioned there, it's actually my sort of header on my Twitter.
Yeah.
I'd love to actually. I've got the original files there, and I would like to try and actually get it done as a proper pano. But yeah, the editing. It was a picture that I think it was just the lighting. There was something about it that made me kind of edit it in that kind of faded way, but bringing out the red and the shadows and that. And I was really pleased with the way it does carry a bit of. I don't know. It gives me a little bit of a.
Well, no, got to be honest with you. I mean, Granty's brought in a couple of scrapbooks, and that a chocker, but it's certainly a picture that will always, I think, represent Llandudno, or one
Another
of the
favourite as well from that European thing is the Jagger scoring the goal at Bangor.
Yeah.
And I just happened to be stood around about the halfway line and sort of following it down. So I've got the whole goal kind of in a sequence, but when he turned round and sort of gave it that pose,
he never mentions it. He never mentions it in training or anything.
Working late as well tonight, I think, apparently. There we go. Grant, not leaving you on the sidelines, mate. I'm sorry, we're getting around and we're all going to jump in and have a big discussion and what have you. But you've been at the club probably as long as Victor, but you were playing for quite a few number of years. You just mentioned then you were 30 when you took over as manager with Daniel and Jamie and what have you. But just give us a quick rundown from how you see the club from the beginning up to now.
Oh, it's like worlds away from where we were. When we were at the Oval at the time when I first started playing for the reserves, and then we obviously secured this ground, and it was literally a field with what is now where the physio is, 2 changing rooms in there, couldn't swing a cat in there, and some showers, and we had a tin hut this side, and that was a lot. It's only over the years through all the volunteers like Victor was speaking about, some of them aren't with us anymore, but they were here every day grafting and putting the foundations in for what we all enjoy and see here now.
Definitely. No, very good. Obviously we've gone from grass pitch to 3G, etc. and what have you, and seem to remember the club going through years down the line of having different drainage putting in off seasons and what have you, and obviously being a goalkeeper to a goalkeeper coach, being shouted at by every groundsman we've ever had because I've walked across the 6-yard box, and what have you. I've always known a football pitch as being a pitch and not an ornament that's on the half. How do you guys feel? Let's have a bit of free for all. How do you guys feel? What would the scenario still be like if we still had a grass pitch out there? Would we be as successful as we have been, or would we have stayed level?
I loved it when I played. I think I was maybe one of Granny's later signings, to be fair, but I loved it. And certainly, I think one thing that's carried on over the years is kicking towards the clubhouse in the second half. That was a big thing for us. And personally, don't get me wrong, I played on very minimal 3G, 4G pitches, to be fair, probably show my age, but I think now if I'm looking at the current day, and I think maybe relating back to the academy boys, they're very, very lucky, I feel. You mentioned there about groundsmen. I was on the receiving end of Kenny Plank telling me off, to be fair, and it was the usual really with Ken, Krusty and Joe Morgan, everyone lashing balls into the goal, but we were able to play on it, and back in the day that's what it was just grass pitches here and there. My own personal opinion, I think the investment over all of Wales has been fantastic. It is the way that it's going to go forward, and I think there'll be a lot more 3G and 4G pitches in and around. But you do have the traditionalists as well. It was certainly a bit of a change for me coming from Carnarvon back into the Cymru North, and obviously we've got the luxury of it. Airbus have the luxury of it, but sometimes you go to them grass pitches and it is a case of rolling your sleeves up, but it's something that I look to embrace, and I think it's something that the players look to embrace as well. I'm easy really, to be fair. Probably some of the older statesmen in the team, without naming too many names, their joints might be a little bit sore come the Monday morning, but I'd probably see him as the future really, to be honest.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it is the way forward. I'm a bit sceptical about him, I'm going to be brutally honest with you, but it's nice to know that games are going to be played. no matter how hard it rains on them, games are still going to be played, etc. You know, and academy all the way up through junior level, etc. It's all good. It's really good.
I think that's it. It's the levels. It's not just the first team, is it? In a club like this, it's any type of reserve or academy football up to 23s, or whatever you want to call that. The academy straight through, junior teams or any harrying out, etc. It's the ability to be accessible for everybody to come.
Well, you think of how many hours a day there's a ball rolling on that 3G out there. If it was grass, you'd have 90 minutes and possibly a training session on it.
Yeah.
You know, and that would be it, and it'd be a week's work to get it back to where it was. You know, it's.
When we had the grass pitch here, when we had it in reasonable condition, it was a good pitch to play on.
Mm-hmm.
But
it was.
The maintenance of that pitch absolutely killed us, destroyed us, and we were very, very lucky to have Ken Davis, rest in peace.
Bless him,
fantastic man, who worked his socks off at this club for 20 years plus, among others. It was funny watching him, but anybody who shouldn't be on the pitch who were on it, he used to get, it used to be very personal with him. He was not settled till he was over bawling and shouting at every one of them, and I used to say to him, Ken, you need to calm down, and but it was maintaining the pitch, also marking the pitch, was very, very hard. And if we were to change tonight overnight, say if someone decided, right, let's get rid of this, because the 3G as we speak now is coming, I think there's about 2, maybe 3 years left, and we have to change, and the club decided, let's go back to grass. Well, me personally, things would have to change. We would have to get a full-time-ish ground staff on it, to maintain and cut it, and there'd be more academy games called out. It would be an absolute. You couldn't have an academy at this football club if we only had one grass pitch.
I think that, to be honest with you, Victor, would be a step back, wouldn't it? Yeah. The addition of a grass pitch somewhere, if we can get one that's elevated up or what have you, that's moving forward. I think taking away the 3G and putting grass again is. I don't
remember the story when Ken had done a lot of work on the ground and spent, all the summer, feeding it, weeding it, all the stuff that he does. And one night, someone left that side gate over, by Sizzy's press box. So, policewoman in a car thinks something's going on. Someone's broke into the club. So it's late at night. She's a bit scared of getting out of the car. So she thinks, I know what I'll do. I'll use my headlights. So she drives up the ramp, goes onto the pitch and drives around and look with her headlights to see, who's broken in here. Got to the bloody bottom end where it used to get heavy sometimes, starts wheel spinning, got stuck
on the pitch,
so what happens then?
I remember it well.
She radios in and says, someone's going to have to help me. So another car then comes on, right, does all this thing. Anyway, we're none the wiser. Monday morning come now, and I get a phone call. Not going to believe this. There's been joyriders on the pitch. Wheel spins and everything all round the place. The pitch it was knackered. Honest to God, you wouldn't believe.
I would have paid money to watch this to see Ken's reaction. Though, to be honest.
There was a silence. No one was saying anything. She must have been like, "Don't say a word." Wasn't us. But eventually we found out, and believe it or not, it was in all the national papers. It was in the Sun, it was in the Daily Express, and all that. Like, eventually they admitted their guilt.
Whilst we're on the merits,
it wasn't funny at the time.
No, whilst we're on the merits of the 3G, I'm going to blow my own trumpet here because little known, perhaps, story outside the boardroom. It was my suggestion for it at the time. We actually had a meeting regarding funds because we used to have the mast income, didn't we? And we were discussing what to do with the investment, came up with a few different things, and that was a suggestion that I'm claiming that I put.
Claiming that one.
So
and
here we are today. Do you remember the initial plan though, Neil? Because we were going to go for this as a 3G and outside as a grass. We were going to enclose a double one, but it fell through, didn't it, at the last minute, but that would have been a dream. You know, we would have had the grass pitch for elite games, and then obviously the 3G for academy and everything below, but it wasn't to be.
Well, you look at how it is, Grant, and what you just said there, Neil. You know, from the beginning, where it was a tin shed, you know, and a grass pitch, and you know, Kev Plank was there doing all the work along with everyone else, etc. You know, throughout the years, it's growing, it's had growth. That growth doesn't stop now, does it? You know, the Llandudno Football Club's moving forward, it's striving, it's still expanding, getting better. I mean, look at this, for one, you know, it's a sign of the times we're doing a podcast, but we're getting there, aren't we? You know, we're moving forward. So maybe the plan of that might come round again, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know, you know, what dreams may come, as they say. Grant, just tell me a little bit, family-wise. Obviously, I can hear Liverpool starting towards his ears are going. He's thinking, "Christ,
Gotta get going."
Apparently the mighty Red to
Don't
play
you worry,
tonight.
don't you worry.
Apparently the mighty Reds.
Good.
No, but Grant, just tell us a little bit, and Victor yourself as well. Just tell us a little bit about the family hub and what have you. You know, obviously your mum, Grant, your mum was a massive part of the club.
Yeah,
in the early
the kind
days.
of point where the previous guys that were running the club had obviously done what they'd done, and they needed to pass the baton on, and literally called a meeting because they were going to close the doors at the football club, and that's when my mum and dad stepped forward and sort of jumped in and tried to help any way they could, just to keep the club alive, really. That's how they initially got involved, and then over time, Julie got involved. Doz, who I think, you know, she should go down in history as one of the biggest achievers really at the club, because I'm sure everyone will agree in here that the work she done was, you know, it was immense really. But
Unbelievable, yeah, unbelievable.
yeah, so from then, you know, my own family's got involved and it just spreads.
Yeah, no, definitely right, definitely, and well done as well. Victor, tell me a little bit about your background, mate. Come on.
Background.
Bit of your background, bit of Irish influence. Come on, let's.
Well, I was actually born in Dublin, 1959, in Coolock on the north side of Dublin. Wonderful place, lovely fishing village on the outskirts of Dublin. If you believe that, you believe anything. There was a massive big council estate, which I loved growing up on. It was absolutely brilliant. But a massive, football in life behind me. I'm involved in football since I was a kid, and it never stopped. You know. Fast forward and things, I ended up in Llandudno, got involved in the club, on and off the pitch. You know, worked on every project that I can remember here, going up, you know, to, let's say, Sizzy's building he built over there at the beginning, yeah. It was later on when I started getting involved in that, and then everything else we did, the pathways all around the ground, the new stands. There was about six to eight of us, you know, worked very hard at that, and I've enjoyed every minute. It's been hard work, you know. I've walked out the front gate many a time saying I'm never going back to this shit. Yeah, but I'd always be the flipping first one back. Yeah. And
you're not the first one to walk out the front gate either.
You've got to believe it. You know, looking, even walking around the ground and listening to the flipping, the usual bunch of flipping moaners moaning, you know, over in the corner. They all know who they flipping are, yeah. Every one of them.
Just in case they don't.
Yeah. And I'll just drop a hint. Richie's the flipping ringleader. Yeah. But anyway, no, they're all fantastic supporters.
The club wouldn't be the club without them, though,
would
would
be
it?
the club without them.
Yeah.
And, you know, they turn up home and away. Everywhere we go, yeah.
Everywhere we go.
So, like,
everywhere
and we all
go.
love it. And it's the same with it. You come here, we have no other problems that any other club in the length and breadth of Wales, yeah, hasn't got. There's just X amount of people running the club and X amount of people supporting it, and everyone just gets on and does what they do. And you know what makes us special, I can't put my finger on it, but I wouldn't go anywhere else. You know, I just one club and this does me.
Just
long may it go on. Right,
we're live, aren't we now?
We just have Daniel interrupting everyone.
Get the Barnet on as well.
In you come, mate.
Come on, mate.
Oh yeah.
Get the Barnet on.
25 minutes in.
Liliana, how are you?
Hello.
Alright.
Nice to see you.
Okay, guys, you probably noticed when we started off that I welcomed everyone in and I welcomed ex-manager Daniel Graham. So those of you who have been watching closely, you've obviously noticed that he wasn't here. He's just walked in. So Daniel, welcome to the podcast, mate.
Thank you very much.
He's got a Barnet that puts Robbie Savage to absolute shame here, by the way.
I like it.
Just got to point that one out. Let's make sure we've got that on camera, Levi.
I like it.
I think, you know, when we get to our age,
Don't
Dave,
start talking about hair, mate. Honestly,
when we get to
can't
our
compete.
age, I'm keeping hold of it, mate, because I'm not combing it from everywhere else.
Grecian 2000 in there as well, isn't it? Hey, showing my age now, showing my age. Well, we were just chatting, Daniel, to be honest with you, about the olden days, about how the club's come along, from how Grant and Victor said about it. It's a tin shed with an allotment pitch, basically. You know, at the end of the day, we've gone through Ken Plank being groundsman to get into the 3G, to go into Europa, etc., things like that. We'll just go back a little bit, chat about yourself and everything. You know, obviously you've had your career at Manchester United. I've been told by Shelley your name's up in the club museum and the club shop, and Erd's filled me in saying that obviously Ferguson mentioned you in page 794 of a 795 book.
Probably.
Yeah.
I believe so. I
Seems to be there.
Do you know what? I believe it. I'm in 3 of his books, I think. Some of the
3 of his
stories,
books.
3 of his books. But
All
yeah,
about
if
his
they
life.
are like fleeting, like name and then chapter ends.
No, I think where the words were, he called you Graham, wasn't it? It's just didn't do the Daniel, was it?
No, it was Graham. Yeah. That was when he wanted us to clean his car when we were apprentices. But yeah, he was.
Well, tell everyone at town. So quite a few people who are supporting us now, boys in the academy, they won't realise that you had a career at Manchester United at that point in time in your life and everything. Just give us a little debrief on how it was, so the academy lads that listen can
Well,
know.
I think it's so different now, the way that the academy's run. I mean, it's so professional now, and the training is quality. We never had that at our age, Grant, myself. We didn't have that, so it was all on natural ability and raw. We were raw, So I've obviously, not being from Llandudno originally, I'm from Anglesey originally.
Yeah.
So getting spotted there, getting picked up, and going as a raw 14-year-old, I started going to Manchester to getting the train on a Friday night from Holyhead, all the way by myself for the weekend, and coming back on a Sunday.
Would that be going to the Cliff?
So, well, yeah. So, not the train didn't directly go to the Cliff.
No.
I'd have to go to Victoria Station first and get a taxi. But I would stay in Chalton Comadi, and then I'd get a lift in by the people I was staying with. They'd take me to the Cliff training ground in the morning.
So when you were at United, then who were the top players? Who were the starting first team?
So obviously the lads that we looked up to, we were starstruck when I went there, wasn't it? But Brian Robson, obviously, the captain of England as well at the time. Paul McGrath, Norman Whiteside. We had there was some players. Obviously, I'd been there a while, and some of the players came in like Gordon Strachan and Brian McClare. Mark Hughes came back from Barcelona, and he was my, obviously him leaving was bad, but he came back 18 months later, so it was great to sort of have him back because of the Welsh connection as well. So I got on really well with Clayton and Mark, and they sort of took me under the wing as well.
Clayton Blackmore, did he have anything? He played for Bangor, didn't he, at one point?
He did.
Did you go to Bangor? Yeah.
Went pretty well.
When Bangor were a football club. Can I say that? Is that right?
Yeah, you can. You're allowed.
Yeah,
You're allowed.
so.
It's only true fact.
I think so.
If easily offended, isn't it, Vic? That's what we said off camera.
So Daniel, you step out of the top flight of football, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Back in the day, you ended up at Llandudno. Tell us about that.
I think just coming out of professional football after sort of 15 years, and I made a decision. I was offered to stay into pro football for another 3 years. Lincoln had tried to sign me, and Macclesfield and Sammy McElroy, an old ex-United player, they'd offered me a 3-year deal, and I think I'd got to the stage the last 2 years of my professional years with Stockport County and then messing about with Scunthorpe, and it just got a little bit, I don't know, he's volatile in a way. You didn't know what was going to happen from week to week, and it, you know, if you're not playing week in, week out, it does get to you, you know. So I said, you know what, I'm going to drop out, and I dropped out of non-league football. I was already offered a job, got a job, non-league football, and I was probably earning more money doing that than I was in the lower leagues of playing football. So that was the decision made, and I think after a year and a half of that, I decided to move back to Wales. And I thought I'd spoken with the Welsh FA. They'd had a football development job opened up in Conway, so I decided to go for that, and they were putting me through my courses and stuff like that, and I took that.
I remember it well, believe it or not. I was on one of them.
Yeah. And then, but I came back, when I originally came back, I signed for Colwyn Bay, who was still playing in the English system. And we were in. It was a good league. It was a really, really tough league. You know, you're travelling all over the north of England, and it was a really good league. And I think, you know, obviously coming to that age of 30, 31, 32, you know, you're probably slowing down that little bit as well, and it's probably what I needed.
Yeah, is that league Colwyn Bay was in? Would you say that is that the old Lancashire Yorkshire league?
I think it's probably better than that.
Yeah.
I think I do. It's the old. I think at the time when I was playing, I think it was the Unibond league. But you know, there was nothing between us. There was between the next stage up. You were in the Vauxhall Conference, which is one away from the Football League. So that was a standard, and there was a lot of teams in our league at that time that were beating Vauxhall Conference teams all the time in the FA Cup and you know, and stuff like that. So there wasn't a big difference.
No, good.
So it took a lot of persuading to get Ben here. We met him up in the Penryn Arms Saturday night.
Shock.
I'd retired. This is about two years later.
It was brilliant.
I had retired. It was I was about 33, 34, and I had retired. So I'm done. I was waking up in the mornings, and I was having to roll.
Getting up.
Rolling out of bed, you know, and the next thing I'm sat in the pub. I wasn't even expecting them to walk in, and Grant and Jamie walk in.
There he is.
This is the spiel we had. Lads, listen, I'm tired. Me, I'm gone. I've finished.
Yeah.
But I tell you what. Another 4 pints, bit of Neil Diamond on the carry. He was putting our hands. We were like, get one more in for death.
Yeah.
The deal was done by half 10.
It came. Yeah.
He was very lucky to get a point off you and Johnny.
No. That should be in that book.
That's a deal, that.
Yeah.
It wasn't their money they were spending, that's for sure.
But you know what? I think it was a good thing. You know, I'd known Grant and Jamie anyway, and they were friends. I'd known Grant, and I think I'd moved back to Wales.
Yeah.
Got to know you sort of straight away. So yeah, you know, I had no problem. I think didn't I play on second forms here a couple of years before, when City had it.
Yeah.
And I think it was me and Gilly were both at Colwyn Bay, and I think you were allowed to sign second forms.
That's right.
Colwyn Bay hated it, but we came here.
Yeah.
And loved the club from just stepping in that first time and second forms. Loved the club, loved it. Thought, yeah, that'd be great. Even if I come to that age, if I can't play for them, I'll try and help them out with something.
Good to hear. Obviously, it's got the vibe, hasn't it? You know, I did those carrying on that vibe, like we'd had the conversation before. You know, it's just close to everyone's heart, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who's involved, and it's easy to walk out, isn't it, Victor, and go coming back, and then 12 hours later you're back doing exactly the same job, aren't you? You know, it just draws you back in.
It's one of those things. It is, because I never thought after the first time I'd ever come back, and then I'd come back, and it is. It's lovely just to come. I haven't been here for a long time, but it's lovely to come and see the faces and stuff like that, and how well the club's doing. To be fair.
Yeah, I just realised there's going to be a big beep in that as well, isn't there? Yeah. Hey ho. Can't be as big as the fine for Daniel being late, but there we go. Right, urge everyone around the table. I'm thinking best goal I've seen from a Llandudno player now. I'm thinking back. We've got Robbo at Carnarvon hitting that worldie that he would say was a worldie.
I'd pay money to watch that.
Did you?
Yeah.
I think he missed. I think it hit a divot and he mishit it, and it was just.
I tell you what it was.
Of everything,
if
to be
you could
honest
liken
with
it, obviously the highlights reel for our game last Friday was on, and Toby's second goal, he said he was aiming for the.
By the way, how much has Toby paid Paul Pritch to let that in?
True, but he's aiming for the far corner. I think that's what Robbo's done, to be fair.
Corner.
And it's gone in the near post.
Yeah,
but,
curly toed it.
No, I was racking my brains in the car, mate, the other day, but the one that sticks out was Krusty at Bangor. We played him in the Coast Cup.
I was going to say that one.
Sorry, Dan.
No, but, it's a good one, yeah.
To be fair, as you said, Grant's obviously got the scrapbooks there and the
kick.
The newspaper clippings there. And obviously, we were lucky enough to be in the stadium at the time. I'm not sure whether it was the first Coast Cup victory or whether we were going to win it back to back. But we went to Farrow Road, the late great Farrow Road as it was. Nev Powell took the team. We weren't too bothered. I think they had about 2 or 3 first teamers playing, but we were desperate to win there. And the best way, or the best way in seeing it, would probably be Trevor Sinclair's on the Premiership Years programme on Sky Sports, or if you YouTube it. So the cross has come in for Trevor Sinclair at Loftus Road, and the cross is behind him, and Sinclair's just thrown himself in the air, and it's just zipped in the top bin, and it was exactly the same. I remember the ball got played out to Ben Hughes. He's worked half a yard, and the cross was behind Krusty. Now I've come across Juicy being the right fullback. I was inside, I was right behind it, and it was like a draw in golf where Krusty's made the sweetest of contacts overhead kick, and it started outside the post and just gone in the top corner. And I've looked at all the players, like, to be fair, because I thought, that just hasn't happened. But everyone was just in awe. And I think that made it 2 or 3-0. But I've sort of looked to the old stand at Farrow Road. Everyone was just on their feet. The Bangor bench on their feet. And to be fair to Nev Powell, he's come in the change rooms at the end and went straight up to Krusty, shook his hand. But yeah, again, similar to Jaggers scoring in Europe, Krusty didn't go on about that goal too much, to be fair. But Lee Thomas for me. Yeah, Lee Thomas for me at Bangor.
I think, to be honest, thinking back through the years, I think you'll remember this, Grant, is I've got to mention him, is Neil Covley.
Okay.
Here. And I think...
Portmaddock.
Was it Portmaddock or Llangefni?
Again, it's one that Cubs doesn't mention a lot. Yeah, it was.
Free kick inside our own half.
But he hits it sideways.
Yeah.
On the wind.
And he's turned around to you, and you've gone... Cut it short.
Cubs said to me, said to me, as I'm shooting.
Yeah.
I said, go on then. Yeah. And it's taken this bounce past Richard Harvey, who I think may have just stopped playing this year. It's taken this bounce, just ended up in a stanchion. Knowing I'm behind him, he sort of ran off and just started looking at me like that. But he called it. Yeah,
I know. Remember it well. Yeah. But, Shelley?
I'm trying to think of that one. Yeah, I think it's a different one I'm thinking of there. I remember him hitting one with wind, and he hit it, as I say, he almost sideways. It was. I think I was up on the gantry, and he hit it almost as if he was hitting it into John Bright's, and it curled that much and then went in the top corner. I don't know. I mean, most of my time in sort of those recent years, I had the camera in my eye for most of it, so I missed a lot of goals. I caught them on camera, but missed a lot. One that stands out was Mark Willow's goal against Port Talbot. He actually mentioned it in his podcast recently. The throw in, takes it on his chest, turns in one, and half volleys it or volleys it top corner. Beautiful goal. Another goal that stands out is James Joyce to win us the league to get promotion.
Yeah, Pennakai.
It was a bit of a sort of a desperate game, kind of, you know, we need to win, and a ball comes out to him just on the edge, and again, it's one I didn't sort of see cleanly go in because I'm too busy looking down, but it was a hell of a strike off the just instinct hit and top corner, and jubilation. Yeah. So, and I've said it before as well about Danny's goal against Gothenburg in Bangor, just for the. It was a good goal as well.
He hasn't mentioned
Technical
it.
Good goal.
He hasn't mentioned it.
I'm sure he hasn't.
What it means. So I can't really choose a definite.
Danny could have told you all about it if he turned up, but there we go. Victor, what about you, mate?
Well, I was going to say what Neil has just said. Joyce's goal away at that time, they won us the league, and our goalkeeper kept us in the game that day, and I was counting the clock down. But that goal for me, Joyce. And what happened after that, the knock-on effect, with us qualifying for Europe, etc., etc. But, Danny Hughes has scored some fantastic blockbusters. Which of the best goals out of his could you pick? Toby's second goal the other night, was a classic Toby Jones goal, wasn't it? He's scored them since he's, since he was a kid here, yeah. And, I've seen Krusty's goals, overhead kicks, Krusty has tried that overhead kick at least 20 times before he scored it.
Still doing any training, to be fair.
And 20 times after it, but fair play. It was a brilliant goal.
I think
remember
another one,
all these goals. Yeah.
I think another one that sticks in my mind is Connor. Was it his 100th?
Yes.
Oh, he
jumped over the bar.
Jumped over the fence.
Yeah.
Off he was type thing, you know.
He couldn't get back over. He had to get back over.
Well, Christ, I'm surprised he got over it. To be honest with you, the first time, then mine second.
Yeah.
But Daniel, let's ask you a question. Not your favourite goal from the club. What was your best goal?
I scored one very similar to
Crusty, yeah?
Yeah, for United. It was only in a friendly. It was against Altrincham in a friendly. I scored a hat-trick the night. It was a left foot, a header and a right foot overhead. Perfect hat-trick, yeah. So yeah, probably that one. But I think you go back to your best goal. I think sometimes is what the most important goal is.
Yeah.
So you talk about the James Joyce goal that got you the promotion. That'll always stick in your mind. Things like that. So obviously mine is going to be like scoring for Man United, which was probably shinned it in, but I did tap it in against David Seaman. That's one that will always stick in your mind. Probably not the best finish in the world, but it's all. Yeah, but I think it's always got to be what's the important one. But going back to what Sean said, the Crusty goal that night was just unreal. I was getting some grief off an old man behind. It was in the first, when we won the first year. It was
first year.
Yeah, because me and Jamie were looking after it then, and it was some old fella was giving me grief, effing and blinding behind me. And it was just nice to look back at him and you sit down. You just sit down and shut up. I couldn't see him. I was looking for him. But that was a quality finish.
Yeah, well.
The goal that Gilly got to win us a cup final one time at Buckley.
Oh
yeah.
I remember
that when he's taking everyone out.
That was a League Cup,
yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah.
The goal, it took a brave centre forward to attack that ball in the air.
I think, to be fair,
that's what Gilly was.
It took a brave goalkeeper and defender to challenge him.
There you go.
He took out the steward. He took out corner flags.
It was like watching it in slow motion.
Yeah.
I was standing beside Daniel and the two of us were kind of holding one another.
And
then we all went crazy then.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
And then obviously, we added that for Brian Jarvis as well, to be fair.
That was the Brian Jarvis thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, special day that.
100%. Yeah,
Special
Brian
day.
Jarvis.
Memory of about 09.
Yeah.
I was injured that day.
You could talk
I
about
cheated myself that
these
day.
good goals all night, couldn't you? We all have our favourites, yeah.
Not necessarily a good goal, but a great day was Aberystwyth with you and Charles, the cup. You and Jonah doing.
We were so close. We were so close, weren't we?
Was that
we deserved to win that game.
Yeah.
We did. Morgs was manager.
Was that when
Morgs was manager? And we went down there and we should have won that match.
Jonah was sick. Do you remember on the bus?
Right, yeah. Robbie Knowles. They started off badly because we had to pick Robbie Knowles in his bed. We had to go round Craig Don into his mum's flats and pick him up in the 52-seater bus, didn't we?
And then Jonah was travel sick.
Yeah.
And he was lying down in the aisle in the bus, and he was white as the froth there in that pint. Yeah. And we got down there. I remember vaguely. Little Ben played.
Yeah.
Robbie Knowles.
We
dragged out myself, Wynn, Joe, Crusty. Jonah's hit that one. We've done the bench press. And then I remember, I think Andy Rooney was in goal.
Rooney was in goal, yeah.
I've miskicked it. They've equalised, and I've just taken my eye off the ball for a split second. It's gone in, and it went to penalties. Went all the way to pens. And I agree with Den. I think on the day, I think we deserved it. I think we deserved to go through.
We had just towards the end there. I remember Christie's chance. I remember Robbie Knowles' chance. It was like
the volley and the save by Stevie Can.
Like, come on.
And then Julian Williams, we got our 5 penalty takers, then come over, no pass. I said, right lads, who's taking one? So I think I was captain on the day. I said, well then I'm putting myself forward, then Crusty and everyone else. It's probably one of my biggest regrets in playing, because I said to Julian, I'll go 4th if you want to go 5th. And he said, well I don't really want the pressure. I said, go on then, so you go 4th. I remember Julian went, I think, to the keeper's left and missed.
Was it Julian that took the penalty?
Yeah, and then Abba had to score to win, so I actually didn't end up taking one.
No. Right,
so I should have put myself forward.
Fair dues to young Julian, because he'd only played a handful of games.
100%, yeah.
Thrown him in. He was only 17.
Yeah. And he had the bottle to take one.
And he said, that's what you want. What you don't want is to be asking players to take one.
Yeah.
You want players to go, I'll have one, and and they've got balls to do it.
Throughout his career, that's probably put him in good stead.
Of course it has, yeah.
Later on as he's approached situations. So, didn't work for us that day. But
Sean, how did Jonah get to Australia if he was if he was travel sick, just going to flip it. I can't understand.
By flying Emirates.
I'm alright on a plane and a train. It's cars. I can't be a passenger
by
in a
flying
car.
Emirates in a 3-course dinner, mate, and all that.
I'm still the
nice, you know, over the years going on them bloody little tiny minibuses up and down Dale, South Wales. Everyone's going there, and they're green, like, come on lads, we're warming up, and they're all like, really?
Do you remember that minibus we had that had the disabled ramp on the back of it?
Oh yeah.
Is that we used to catch the bumps? And
was it?
Used to scrape on the bumps.
That was in the early days,
like that.
Mate,
Yeah.
Early days.
And it looked like it had a Sabutio player on the side of it.
We weren't
like
arriving.
UFC.
You certainly weren't arriving in style.
So, in fairness, I think that is still on that scrapyard down by Black Cat Roundabout, you know.
Is it?
Yeah, if you look carefully when you're driving
Get
down.
it back in and
pretty
put it on the
sure
roof.
it's
That's got to be done.
Get it put on the roof. You know they do that over the road.
Get the old three-wheeler.
Give it a rub down, it'll be alright.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, we've gone on quite a bit here and what have you, and I'd just like to thank everyone for coming along for this Christmas special. Hope everyone's enjoyed themselves, and hopefully we'll do a better one. Well, I'm not saying a better one, but we'll improve every time going into the new year. I'd like to thank Daniel for turning up, first of all. Victor, it's been lovely having you on board again. Thank you very much. And Shelley, again, talking about Europa, etc. It's been nice reminiscing. Erds, Gaffer, fantastic yet again.
Thank you.
And Grant, my old mate, thanks very much for coming on board.
The stalwart.
Pleasure.
The stalwart.
Absolutely.
The stalwart. Guys, like to wish you a very happy Christmas. I'd like to thank Levi Montgomery for all the hard work he puts in for making these podcasts go ahead. I just sit here and waffle. But yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and good luck to Llandudno in the future. Good night.